Kicking off this whole thing, I thought we'd just start with the first piece, which is really about creativity powered by data and technology. And today we are seeing, creativity actually being democratized, right? So we heard a lot from the compare as well. I mean, she gave us a full spiel on AI and everything. So we don't want to go in there, but really talking about technology and how it's powering creativity. What I'd like to really talk about in the first bit, the first 10 minutes of our conversation is really about how do you see, and Josy, start with you, how do you see creativity now going forward, right? So what's the impact that you see on technology, on creativity, and what's that going to look like?
Can you guys hear me? Yeah, so I really want to talk about the fact that I've been through 4 generations of technology. Okay, there was print, boom, and there was television, and there was internet, and then there was social media, and for some reason I've sort of embraced all 4 of them. Maybe because I didn't fall in love with the medium, I fell in love with the people who it's talking to. Yeah, so when we talk about technology today, we find ourselves sort of being pushed to use technology. But the truth is, whenever there's a new influence from a creative perspective, I embrace it because it allows me to do something new. It's like a filter that makes me look at the world with new eyes. Yeah, but even as I say that, even as I enjoy my 5th life in this world of creative, after having gone through print and TV and the internet boom of 2000 and then 2008 social media, I find that there is one thing that hasn't changed. And I want to also focus on that because there is so much noise around AI and so much noise about new technology, which is fabulous because it really pushes us to think again about a lot of things. But what makes it different, what makes technology unique for that individual is not the AI, it is the EI. Yeah? It's the emotional intelligence part that makes the AI look good. And so if AI is the what, EI is the how. And the how is what will make individuals or companies or brands stand out. Because as the world gets more and more democratized creatively, what changes is your own unique perspective. And that comes from so many elements. EI is one of them, and so many more. Yeah, so I want to just put EI on the table as we talk about AI and technology.
That's interesting. EI as really the power of the human mind, right? So coming in to kind of make a difference, make that creativity. Because one of the things everyone talks about is that finally, is everything going to look the same?
Yeah.
Is all creative accessible and available to everybody, right? So what's the difference and what's that X factor that you're going to create? So Anusha, I wanted to talk to you about, you started in a creative agency, then set up your own digital agency, and now you're back to network agency, right? So what is the transition that you've seen and what's the journey of creativity been for you?
You know, when I started in advertising, I was still really young, I was learning, and I was happy, I was hungry to know more, grow. So that's really a phase where I was doing a lot more learning. In the next phase where I started the digital agency, we actually didn't start as a digital agency, we started as an advertising agency. I realized very soon that scale was not so easy because a lot of the big brands were sitting with the larger networks, and so I wanted to try something new. Digital happened at that point of time and we kind of moved and migrated to digital. What I noticed is that change is not easy for all, right? It's not easy to adapt and say I'm going to do this. I saw a lot of hesitation with people and talent, and I found it extremely difficult to explain to people why they had to learn something. I think this is the biggest challenge that, as an agency we found. So we took a very hard decision at that point of time. We used to do a lot of brand work too. we took a call to kind of, stop working on that side and only focus on learning digital and, and driving value to clients as we were learning really. Very few people were really ready to change, learn, migrate and grow. Even today I find a huge amount of resistance with a lot of people really. And now that I'm back in a network agency, I think life is very different today. I think people realize that if you don't grow with the times, you're going to be left behind, because today if you look at life, more than 50% of spends is happening in digital today in India. Right? And if clients are expecting you to think like a mainline agency, think big, think right, but execute with agility in digital. So team members have realized that if they don't adapt and change, they're going to be left behind. So while I was running the digital agency, I saw a lot of resistance. Now I see a lot more people open to learning. I think it's difficult, they're trying hard. But the game has also changed a lot today because there's so much to learn today. You have to really catch up a lot. But I do see openness today. People want to do it because everybody realizes that this is the world that we're going into right now.
Yeah, I mean, openness, I mean, you don't have a choice, right?
You don't have a choice right now.
With OpenAI, right? So gangs, tell me about your perspective on this. You started in a creative agency, network creative agency, and now you're deep into media. What's the creative link that you're seeing there, and how is that creative evolving?
Well, in my view, there seems to be this sort of dystopian narrative that technology is going to eat jobs, right? And I think it's not a man versus machine; it is a man and machine. I think technology is an ally. I think it has its uses, in terms of dealing with repetitive tasks. Getting the grunt work out. And I have a very bad metaphor in terms of cricket, which is you need technology to run your ones and twos, but you still need human intelligence to hit that switch hit six, right? Yeah. So that's the way I see it. But I think there is human creativity is imperfect. It is spontaneous. And I think it's very hard for technology to replicate all of that. Ultimately, it's based on past patterns and analysis. And also, I think the more dangerous part is there's also so much deep fakes going around, that also becomes an input into technology as well. So it's important I think you still need human intuition to be able to interrogate the output of what comes out from technology and AI. Does it have its uses? Absolutely. I think today, I spent time in network agencies, went to media, I've come back to an advertising agency. I think to use and harness data, in the service of generating interesting insights, I think is very real, right? I think the rigor, when you arrive at a creative idea on the back of data is real, and I think it can still create the same springboard for great creative ideas. Yeah.
So Dheeraj, I wanted to understand from you when you're, leading a network creative agency. So what's your perspective and how are you looking at technology and creativity? Is it two silos, or how are you thinking about this new world?
Yeah, so I think we first and foremost believe that this is the best time to be in the business, right? The best time to be in advertising, because when I was born in the business, you had just words and images to play with. But today you have such a huge palette to play with. You can play with technology, you could do product innovation, you could play with data. The whole palette is so rich, and therefore this is perhaps the best time to be in the business. What we say is that creativity is not about writing a great headline or doing a great TVC. I mean, that too, of course, we do that. You run an agency that scale, you do it. But creativity is the power to solve problems for businesses and for humankind, right? That's really the definition that we operate with. Now, if that's the power you have, and you add data to it, you add technology to it, you add generative AI to it, suddenly you feel so powerful. You say, I have so many superpowers to work with, right? I mean, we have enough examples at the agency. For example, we have this world's first anti-road crash system, right? And that's AI-powered, machine learning-powered. It uploads data to cloud, gives you a real-time dashboard. We are developing with Echo a system which kind of predicts potholes, submerged potholes, and helps you prevent accidents, right? And all of these are brand work. They are brand solutions. They are solutions for real businesses and people. So I feel going back to the source of saying creativity is about solving problems and opportunity for business and humankind, and then adding tech, data, generative AI as a layer to that. That's where our fulcrum of work is. I also feel that, and since we're talking about the largest forum of advertising, sometimes we are as an industry more susceptible about ourselves, right? I mean, oh, advertising is dead. Oh, is generative AI going to kill jobs in advertising? Oh, is social media taking the lunch away? No, right? I mean, in this room, there have been big brands built, large brands being built, huge amount of shareholder value being created. So I think building that belief back, that confidence back in the power of creativity and its ability to generate shareholder value is where my definition is.
Yeah, absolutely, and I totally agree. I think the creativity is at a premium in this world where there's so much of noise. I think the only way you can cut through is really high ground of creativity. And that's what is the big goal and task to reach. What do you think, and what is your perspective on what's the kind of talent that should populate now the agency going forward?
Yeah,
the creative agency.
Yeah, I think there is no future of the business without future of talent, right? And I think we need to discuss that and talk more as an industry, because we all know, right? I mean, it's been discussed on many Facebook social media posts that what's the quality of talent which is entering the business today, right? And all the institutes that advertising used to hire from, I mean, we don't hire anymore. In fact, about 5-6 years ago when I took over the PNL, I realized our entry salaries were similar to how much you can earn driving an Ola or a Uber in the country, and have a lot of respect to all the hard work which happens there. So I think that's something we need to change, and we need to change dramatically, right? Now this year we went to campus and we went to all the top campuses. We hired 50 people. We weren't testing for copy or art ability. We were testing for solution ability, right? And we call these people in my language mutant DNA, right? You have an ability to be a strategist, but you're fantastic in data. You are a good design person. You're fantastic in UX UI, right? So these mutant DNAs, right? And we have to find a way, we have to work hard. I do call this out, that we have to work hard as an industry to empower the young. What about the credit system, right? Why should all the senior people get credit, right? How do you fix for credit for the young lot? How do you fix for greater salaries for the younger lot? How do you fix for better mobility for the younger lot? And if together we are not able to build a business where the young can thrive and prosper and be happy, then we've not done a good job of building the future. So I think we have to work hard on getting the young talent at all levels, and the talent doesn't have to be from copy or art. We just need solution orientation, and then the world is an open place to hire.
Gangs, what's your perspective on talent, and how you seeing the need for this new person?
But I think the mix of talent in agencies is changing, but I don't think it's changing fast enough. But it's fine. I think brand experiences, we are moved beyond comms, right? I think as agencies, we're really about creating and designing brand experiences. What that experience itself is changing, right? Ultimately, really, we follow consumers. What really attracts their time is really where we are. Strong creativity exists at the edge of culture. So it's important to recognize that in the future, talent is going to come from different places. Where exactly, I don't know, but I would imagine, of course, the machine will spit out certain things, but I made the point about culture, so, it's not hard to imagine a future where you have sociologists, anthropologists, and, neurosciences, all the academics, in advertising, as of course, and also the tech and, people from the gaming section. But the fact is, they don't need to be employed by you. I think eventually the structure I see is perhaps a bad word, but asset-light sort of structures in an agency, but the willingness to collaborate with an ecosystem of experts in various domains.
What do you think as the future structure of an agency should be like?
I think the future structure needs to be extremely fluid, because if you knew what the future is going to look like, you would have a structure again.
Yeah.
I think openness to be able to have a very fluid system, I think diversity is the answer. You need a diverse set of people in your team. And you need to encourage this whole open structure system. I do see a lean structure. I see a horizontal structure, which means a lot of people, because at this point of time, I think solutions can only come through collaboration, which means you need different kinds of people. I see hierarchy not playing a role. I see only people who have the right ideas, the right thinking process to tackle a complex world that we are in right now, playing an important role. It's not about hierarchy, it's not about growing, it's not about who's senior. Because honestly, a lot more seniors today don't have the answers, right? We're also depending on a lot more young people to understand something and explain that into a reverse teaching process to seniors. So I see a very fluid, open, unstructured structure.
Josy?
Yeah, for me, I feel that any recognizable structure will make people mimic the past. So you bring a young person who has no background to, say, the corporate world, put them in that structure, they will mimic what has happened before. They'll try and please their bosses, and the whole thing gets into a rut. I think you've got to break everything if you really want new energy. There should be nothing recognizable, so the moment there's no reference point, the individual begins to shine. So I would say throw away designations, rewrite designations. Designations are coming in the way. So you break everything. I have no past. Born again. You can be your own mother.
Well, I don't know how the future structure looks like, but I think it'll be built to deliver speed, simplicity, and collaboration. I think they're absolutely important things, and I think whatever is the best structure that delivers that is what will work. But I see it two ways, right? This is internal. I also believe there's an external structure. You spoke about, looking outside the building when it comes to experts. I think as creative agencies, it's also, I think it was easier to collaborate with a non-competitor. For example, we can collaborate with media agencies because they're not sort of really in our wheelhouse. But I think increasingly there'll be a scenario where there are multiple creative content creators for the same brand, right? Therefore, the ability and the willingness to collaborate with content creators, right? I think it's going to be a big sort of key in the way, again, we work in the future.
The question is basically on the future of creative learning. Which is partly what we've answered in how do you, the future of creative learning is really through collaboration, working together, finding newer influences and always learning, right? So if you have a perspective, anyone, Dheeraj, do you have any perspective on that?
I mean, we are approaching it slightly more structured as well, Rohit, right? Yeah. We've got a tie-up with Harvard because we realize that in our business, you're in account management, you become VP, senior VP, suddenly you become a EVP one day and you're running a group. But there's no training on, on leadership. We've never given a stimulus on leadership apart from, a group training seminar which happened in Bangkok or somewhere else. So we've now tied up with Harvard to do structured leadership training programs for our leaders. We're bringing in coaches to do individual coaches, we are bringing coaches to do team coaches, we are doing structured programs for creativity, there's a continuous boot camp for digital. So we realize that we need structured input to people as well, apart from just learning on the job. And a large part of investment is going there. There's a huge program on health, for example, at a group level, it's called PuffFit, and how do we promote everybody to become healthier, because our whole belief is that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So structured inputs on all of that is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, Josy, any last words?
I don't know if it's the last words, but we try to say, if you can be an antenna and receive new things, and if you can keep receiving without bias, then when we sit as a group, we can share that. We can share each other's reception. And through that, we learn new things. There can be a formal way, of course, and I think you spoke about it, but there can be a more informal way of saying, guess what, I saw this. So just that is good enough as a starting point. And to be an antenna means that you don't judge. You just receive. And for me, that form of surrender or reception is the most beautiful thing, because it keeps you alive and excited about everything. Yeah.
Great. So, I think we had some really interesting points here, and I think the fundamental core of it we are talking about is the future of creativity is really about talent, right? That is at the core, and this talent needs to be enabled in a structure, because talking just about data and technology really doesn't answer the full question, right? Because
Correct.
talent, and then how do you structure to enable the talent to perform, and take the creative product to the next level, use data and technology and collaborate and move forward. So with that, thank you so much. It was a great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohit.